Okay, hey guys, it's Victor, Give Me a Break Man on the Give Me a Flick Man channel. Today with a little cultural lesson, kind of a, not really a lesson so much as an investigation. Alright, now a couple days ago I came across a video about a young lady named Katrandom. She likes to call herself Tokyo Cat. I'm kind of against anybody who's got the word Tokyo in his name, unless it's Tokyo Kuni because it's the first one, everyone else, you know. But anyway, she's talking about something called Tatemae and Honne. And I want to kind of talk about her. Well, her video made me think, that's not quite right, but I can't really explain it either. It's not an easy subject, but I want to talk about it a little bit. So anyway, let me first of all address Katrandom or talk about her a bit and say, very, very confident, young, attractive vlogger is basically what most of you guys want to see. Though I did check my insight today for the first time in months, and I noticed that the number of women watching this channel is up to like 37%, which is surprising. So ladies, hey, how you doing? Okay, sorry, but oh, did you hear about Joey from what's Joey's real name? Do you remember Joey's real name? No, okay. Well, anyway, Joey, great actor, because you can only remember it was Joey, right? You hear he was dyeing his hair for all the time he was on Friends. That's just amazing, right? Oh, well, here we go. Joey's right here behind me. Whoa! All these are gonna fall on me. Joey! Right, what was his name? I can't remember his name. But anyway, all this time he was dyeing his hair. Yeah. I think the sign of a good actor is someone who you can't imagine playing anything but that, you know. I'm getting off the subject. Okay, so I just want to say I don't dye my hair. We're the same age. Okay, back to the subject. Yeah, Katrandom, apparently, I don't know much about her. I've seen about 5 of her videos. I think Kiko Simon told me about her. She's a high school student who went to Japan for 1 year, did 1 year abroad, and is now making videos about it. Now she's back in, I think, America, maybe Canada. I know you Canadians get all crazy if we think you're American. And she's making videos about Japan. Now, I want to, I gotta say her videos are good. They're generally good. But she suffers from, I think, and I don't, mean to be overbearing with this, but I think she suffers from the disease that most of you young people suffer from. I mean, I'm still young too, but I never had this disease, is that you think you know a little bit more than you know. You know what I mean? It's the confidence of youth, as that guy in Cold Mountain said before Jude Law shot him dead. But anyway, so she makes very good movies, videos, whatever you want to call them. But I think she's a little bit off on some of her subjects, some of her information. But the one good thing I gotta say is that she's a very good vlogger, and she can tell you something about Japanese high schools, which of course I can never tell you because I've never been in a Japanese high school as an exchange student, and she has. So I definitely recommend her, and she's a pleasure to watch. Though once in a while, as a veteran here, I suppose, I kind of raise my eyebrow on a couple of things she says, but anyway, but she does same with confidence, but again, the point being, watch a lot of people, read a lot, do the research, get the information yourself, okay, which is what I've done today. Now, she talks about Tatemae and Honne, and she does a great little skit, and she pretends she's her host mom in Japan, and she plays herself and her host mom, and I gotta say, her host mom wears a really nice miniskirt, and I don't think, my host mom didn't wear a miniskirt that short, and her legs weren't that good, but, so, I mean, she was lucky, I gotta say that was pretty good. So let me get back to the basics of what this is actually about. Quit screwing around. Okay, Tatemae and Honne. The kanji for Tatemae is actually construction and in front. That's the actual construction. And Honne is your true sound. I suppose that's the Hon is real and Ne is your sound. So real sound. That's the actual meaning of the kanji. But of course, an easy explanation would be what you say and what you really mean or what you really feel. That would be a very basic feeling. Now, one thing that bugs me about Japanese people, and about, not all, some, and about a lot of foreigners is that they tend to believe that certain things only exist in Japan. And an example of that is 4 seasons. Like, a lot of Japanese are extremely proud that they have 4 seasons in Japan, and they're under some bizarre illusion that only Japan has 4 seasons. And if you do a search, or it used to be this way, when you do a search on Google, under Japan in 4 seasons, you'll see tons and tons of homepages by Japanese people bragging about how their country has 4 seasons, you know. Which is always amusing to me. And Koreans are good at this too. Koreans think the same thing. But anyway, one of the things that Japanese do believe is that they believe that only they have Honne and Tatemae. And before I made this video, I went out and I talked to a few, I talked to the Subway people, the people who work at Subway. I work at the convenience store. And I said, what do you think about Tatemae and Honne? Do you think it exists in other countries? And they said, oh no, it's pretty sure it's just a Japanese thing. But they were thinking, oh, or maybe, you know, they were discussing it with themselves. A lot of them thought it's just a Japanese thing. But I'm here to tell you, I don't think it is. It's something that exists in every country, but the Japanese have a name for it. Now, let me give you a little bit background on this word. Yukari, who does Maggie Sensei, did a little research on it. She found a whole bunch of pages. She found one page by a Chinese guy who was under the what's a misinterpretation? The false. He was under the false misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. That's it. He was under the misunderstanding. Is that? I'm looking for a word. Help me out. Someone write in the comments. He misunderstood Tatemae as meaning just lies, and that's not true. And then he found out after living in Japan for a long time, Tatemae doesn't mean lies. So he didn't like Japanese. He thought that Japanese people were just liars. But of course, we know that's not true. Of course, there's lies everywhere. And where did this word come from? Well, the story that Yukari found is about a carpenter. Is that carpenter? Construction work? Carpenter. Carpenter with this word I've never seen before, but carpenter who is building a building and he's just about finished, and then on like the last day he realizes he screwed up on one of the pillars and says, oh my god, I made a big mistake, and he's really upset about it. And he goes home and tells his wife, and his wife like gets him drunk and gets him to go to sleep. And when he's sleeping, the wife sneaks out and using the masu, which is masu is a kind of a container where you put the sake. She used the mas to rebuild or fix the construction problem, whatever it was. And when he woke up, he was she told him, you know, I fixed it. And I fixed your shame, basically. And because she was the only one who knew his shame, he killed her. And then he felt bad about it, like, oh, he realized, oh, she was only, you know, being considerate. And he prayed to her, and he took out like 7 things that women wear, like makeup and lipstick and I don't know, mascara, whatever. You know, sponge, I don't know, something. And he laid him out in front of the altar and he prayed to her. And that's where that came from. And in this story, she represents Honne because she knows the truth, and he represents Tatemae because he's trying to protect the outside, which is why he does something so ridiculous as killing his own wife. And I've got this dictionary, the Dictionary of Japanese Way of Thinking. It's an old book, actually. It's published by some reputable company. Well, maybe not. Yuhikaku. I don't know. Anyway, it's from 1989, but Japanese hasn't changed that much. Before I get into this, though, I was also talking to Daichin about this whole thing, and he was saying, oh yeah, you know, he was talking to other Japanese people in his school, and he said that apparently the original meaning of Tatemae was much more formal, but nowadays even Japanese misuse it as just for everyday situations, like the example that Katrandom used in her video. So I wouldn't say that's really Tatemae. That's just well, it's just it's not Tatemae in the classic sense, but it's Tatemae and Honne in the modern sense, I suppose. But anyway, in this book, I did a little research in this book, and I want to read you something from this book regarding this. And okay, here. Another thing about the Honne Tatemae. Oh yeah, there's 2 kind of Honnes. Honne is what you really feel, and then there's the Honne Tatemae dichotomy, which only exists when there are 2. Okay, so if you just tell what you feel, that's just your Honne. It's not really a Honne Tatemae comparison because you're just telling what you feel, right? If I just tell you what I feel, it's just my opinion. But if I am telling you 2 different stories at 2 different times, then that is Tatemae and Honne. If you're only hearing one side, you're not really getting, or you never find out the other side, then you're not really, that's not the dichotomy of Tatemae and Honne. Okay, so let me read this to you, ready? Another thing about the Honne Tatemae dichotomy is that while Tatemae is openly professed in the formal negotiation, Honne is expressed privately in the informal setting, over a glass of beer, for example. Therefore, skilled negotiators often make the most of an informal, private get-together with the negotiating opponents before the negotiation. And that's why you may have heard that a lot of Japanese like to beat around the bush when it comes to negotiations. They want to get to know you a little bit, and they have informal meetings, and they sit down and have lunch and talk about things that have nothing to do with business before they do the negotiation. Like, I guess it's kind of softening technique. And they also want to get your real feelings out there, right? So that's one interpretation, or one thing to remember. Another thing about think about the story about the what do you call him? Carpenter. You hear that? Hollow. The carpenter and his wife. She did it out of consideration, right? She did it to protect his outside, his image, his public face. And that's probably why you hear a lot about saving face, the expression saving face. It's so important to the Chinese as well, and in Japan as well. But anyway, here's something from a different page, but on the subject. The Japanese have traditionally placed an importance on honor. Everyone knows that. Consideration for the other party's honor and reputation is very important in Japanese human relationships, right? And this is one of the reasons that we use Tatemae, because we're not trying to hurt the other person's feelings. Using Tatemae, it's okay. Using Tatemae is a nice way to not tell them what you really think, right? Now, of course, this is if you're not close enough to tell them what you really think. So, in the example that Katrandom showed you in the video, students are walking in. That's her homestay family, and obviously her homestay family, in the example, did not feel comfortable enough to tell her what she really felt. Now, as you become closer, hopefully that I guess barrier will fall down, and you'll be able to tell her how you really feel. Or here's the other thing. If Katrandom is perceptive enough, she might be able to pick up on the real message, which is there. See, the thing about the Japanese when they communicate with each other is they have something that they call ishin denshin, but basically we call reading between the lines. So see, we do have words for some of these things, right? I'm telling you something, but I really mean something else. It's like when you ask a girl on a date and she says, "Oh, I don't feel very well," or "I'm, doing something that day," whatever. But actually, she just doesn't want to go out with you, and she doesn't tell you, "Hey, I think you got a pizza face and you stink, and I wouldn't be caught dead with you." She doesn't want to hurt your feelings. It's the same thing. It's consideration, right? And one of the biggest problems with Gaijin and Japanese communicating with each other is that they're often communicating in a language that they are not completely comfortable with. So the other party does not have the ability to read between the lines. They can't pick up on these small little nuances and facial tics or whatever it is. That they can't pick up the honne. So sometimes and this is again, this is not the traditional definition of Tatemae and honne, but when a Japanese person is communicating with you and they're trying to get you to understand something, they might say something but mean something else. But a lot of them, especially the Japanese relationship, they're hoping the other person gets it, right? But when you don't speak the language very well, you grasp onto anything you do understand and take it at face value, which is a mistake and natural, because you can't really speak Japanese yet very well, or they can't speak English very well. One of the most common examples between problems between Gaijin and Japanese when they first come over is that Japanese will say, "Uchi ni asobi ni kite ne," which means come on over to my house and have fun, whatever. Come on over, come visit me sometime, basically. And they will say it in English too, like, "Please come to my house and visit me," because it's a direct translation of this bullshit expression, which is what we do in America too. We say, "Hey, let's do lunch sometime. Hey, let's do lunch. Let's do," people are saying, "Let's do lunch," right? Do people still say that? But you know what I'm saying, people say stuff they don't mean all the time. It's one of the things that Holden Caulfield in Catcher in the Rye hated about human beings. And all young men do. The fact that you got to be phony sometimes if you want to survive in this society. And that's one of the things that they mention, not just this book, but all over the internet. One of the things about Tatemae and honne that is important or useful, if you know how to use it well, is that it helps things go smoother. If you want to get something done, you need to know how to use these things, to manipulate things, to prioritize things. And it's not exactly lip service, it's not exactly lies, it's not that easy. It's just knowing how to make things run smoother. I think I'm trying to show you one more page, but I think I'm marked it out. No, it's just a dictionary. Hold on. I think there was one more thing I wanted to read to you. Oh, here we go. In Japanese society, people are primarily group-oriented. This is also very interesting. They give priority to group harmony and try to behave as expected by others, sometimes hiding their honne, true feelings. They conform to elaborate rules of proper behavior on such occasions as gift giving, weddings, and funerals. Right? So, I mean, come on. How many of you must have gone to a wedding or a funeral where you really didn't think those people should be getting married, didn't care that much, or you're kind of not that sad the guy was dead, you know? I mean, come on. And this is, a lot of people blame the Japanese for being, they're conformist. So many high school kids are conformist. Give me a break. I mean, silly, just ridiculous. So, in short, let me think. Anything else here? Yeah. In short, one thing that made me want to do this video was because I think Kat, at the end of the video, she says, let me show you what she says at the end of the video here. Right? Here you go, end of the video here.
They might worry about it at the orientation, but it's actually a far bigger problem than you can imagine. Just be on the alert and just try to accommodate to them as much as you can. That's all I can really recommend to you.
So that thing about, you know, I feel like it's not that big a deal. That's all I'm saying. It's not that big a deal. And the longer you stay in Japan, and the better your language skills get, and the more sensitive and considerate you are, the less problem it'll be. So it's not that big a deal, unless you're donkan. And donkan means you just can't pick up on any subtle things. And yet, what's the other expression we use? KY? Kuki omenai. Right? Kuki omenai. So she's busy with something. I want to make sure I'm not giving you any false information. You know I hate giving false information. So kuki omenai is an expression we use in Japan for people who can't pick up on those small things, you know? They don't get it. You're telling them something and they just don't pick up on it. So those people are everywhere, right? In every country, in every society, in every culture. I guess that's all I wanted to say. I do recommend this young lady. She's a lot of fun to watch. I will have to say I disagree with part of what she says in some of her videos. One thing she did say a while back, she said, if you're going to come to Japan, learn Japanese first for sure. I think that's true if you're a high school student like she was. But I don't think it's true for anyone else who's just coming over here to spend some time. If you want to come over here and work, for example, just get your ass over here and grab a job and get busy, hit the books. That's all I have to say about that. Thanks for watching this super ass long video. I have no idea how long it is. I hope it was somewhat understandable. Oh yeah, the one other thing that bugged me about this video, not so much her, but the stupid comments that people leave in the comment section. One of them was saying that Japanese people commit suicide because of things like this. Okay? No man, it's not true. Look at this person, Lanthus22. This is part of their culture. Leads businessmen coming home from a 48-hour shift home drunk and say everything is going great when they've actually been fired. And that's lying to yourself. It's psychologically unhealthy, and that's the reason why the suicide rate is... You can't simplify things like this. It's just ridiculous. I've been in this country for 20 years. I will never say I understand the Japanese. So when you meet and I'm not saying this is about Katrandom, I'm saying this in general, but when you meet foreigners who think that they understand Japan, well, you should know they probably don't. Because I think I've said enough. All right, see ya, bye.